Welcome to Soul Connections with your host, Elena Angel.
Hello, this is Elena Angel and Soul Connections, the space for soulful conversations and explorations in consciousness. Today, I'm delighted to present not one, but two special guests, Bindu Abreu and Davide Formicola, the loving creators of Casa Nacura, a beautiful healing oasis in the South West of Portugal. Theirs is a beautiful example of the wonderful synchronicity and co-creative magic that open up for us when we follow our heart, our intuition, and explore. As you'll soon discover, Anna and Davide are very inspirational as a couple. I've asked them to share their individual stories of transformation and awakening, as well as about their journey together as a couple, discovering and living their dream. Could it be they found the recipe for a happy life? I'm always so delighted to connect with people who are living their soul's dream, who are so connected to the passion in their hearts and souls, and are also in these co-creative relationships and partnerships and doing amazing things for each other and for all of us. And so I'm so happy to have such a beautiful couple with me here today. Why don't you introduce yourselves for our audience? I think you have some beautiful stories to share. So shall we start with you, Anna? What was your journey like? What brought about this awakening, this new life for you?
I used to be a teacher. That's what I studied for. And I used to have a really good job teaching. But somehow inside of me, there was some sort of sense of lack of fulfillment or discomfort. And I knew this because even though I had a beautiful life and beautiful jobs, I was always looking to new opportunities, professional opportunities. So I would start new projects. I would be really excited about these new projects, and then very easily I'd get tired and started looking for something new. So I started understanding that there was something deep happening that was not really about the job, but was much deeper than that. And I had been already doing some yoga and doing Reiki for a while when this feeling became really strong inside me. This feeling started getting stronger and stronger, and at some point in my life, I've kind of reached the breaking point. I had recently met Davide, who had moved all the way to Malaysia to be with me. I was working really long hours, not having much time to be with him, very involved in my work. And I knew that Reiki, yoga were things that made me feel really good, but I just wasn't having enough time to do it.
So it was like you had some of the pieces, but you didn't have the one thing that would connect everything together.
Exactly. So there was a day that I said, I can't do this anymore. Something seems to be really wrong, and I really need to do something about it. Davide was a great source of inspiration because he had been traveling for a while at that point, and he was living very much in the flow. And that for me was really, and I was looking at him and seeing how things would just flow to him naturally, gave me lots of inspiration. So I decided to make a really drastic step, and I handed in my resignation letter and decided to stop my normal work and to dedicate myself into exploring these other pieces, as you were saying, that I knew made me so happy. And so that was the beginning of a journey. And that led me to many different places in the world, working on myself, on my own healing, on my own inner growth. And putting pieces together, I became happier and happier, and eventually found the glue that keeps the pieces of the puzzle together.
I'm curious, what was Davide's journey like, and how was it for you, Davide, up until the point where you met Anna?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us here.
Pleasure.
I was not at all a spiritual person in my early 20s. I was very pragmatic and very fiery. I am a Leo with a Leo ascendant and the moon in Leo as well. So I was at university. I was studying agronomy, but that really couldn't make sense to me, the way that agronomy was taught, the way they were teaching us how to grow food, full of chemicals, full of machines. And so eventually, after a few years of struggling, trying to keep up with those studies that didn't make sense to me, I decided to let go of it and started traveling, looking for answers, for a different way of doing that. So I went, thanks to programs like woofing, for example, I went in different parts of the world, like Argentina or Ireland, to work as a volunteer in farms. Those experiences eventually opened up a lot to me. They opened my mind, and suddenly a lot of new possibilities appeared into my spectrum of things that I could see. The original idea was kind of taking a sabbatic year from university and go traveling, then go back, eventually finishing my studies. But after being abroad by myself, I couldn't go back anymore to my old life. And eventually I just went back to Italy to tell this to my parents and say, listen, I need to I need to go. I really feel like I want to go to Australia. I had the opportunity to take a 1-year visa to go to Australia and work. So I went there with no money at all. I arrived in Australia with 500 euros in my pocket without even knowing where I would have slept that night that I arrived. It was Melbourne, and eventually things happened and my life started flowing very, very, very well. And that was so beautiful to me. I worked 5 months in Melbourne, very hard, volunteering in a hostel in exchange for accommodation, and then working in a restaurant in the kitchen. And that allowed me to save enough money to buy later on a van with a friend that meanwhile I had met there, which is a brother to me nowadays. And together we traveled all around Australia, and this travel was mind-blowing. It really changed me, and eventually led me to meeting Anna, because after my year in Australia finished, I I still wanted to explore a little bit more, and I went to Southeast Asia. That was just there, next door to Australia. And I ended up in Malaysia. I ended up in Borneo, in this Malaysian part of the Borneo island, where I met this beautiful soul by chance through couch surfing. So
What a what a beautiful story. And all those journeys, all this travel that you did, there was this connection with volunteering programs and with organic farming and also with cooking, right?
yes.
Tell us more about that. The cooking, that seems to have been an adventure of its own.
Well, cooking, it's funny because before I left home, I had never ever cooked anything in my life. Like I didn't even cook an egg before leaving my home, where I lived with my parents, because my Italian mother was an Italian mother, is an Italian mother, and like she's the queen of the kitchen, and that's how it works. So I didn't know I loved cooking before leaving home. And so slowly, by living by myself, I had the need to cook, to stay cheap. And I found out that I really liked it, and that led me to explore more and more, and getting to know new recipes, and following courses, and eventually getting to study for it. And well, then my my growth and my passage to a vegetarian diet also led me to getting more interested in that area, and also the nutrition part of making a meal which is balanced, in order to be sure I was eating properly.
I'm very curious. Could you tell us a bit more about this decision to become vegetarian? What were the reasons that you chose to do that?
I guess it started one evening in Sorrento, my hometown, when I was younger, maybe around 20. I was having a summer job in an Irish pub. I was doing bartender there, and there was this Australian guy that chatting somehow, he told me about vegetarianism and him being a vegetarian, not eating meat. And for me, it was the first time really that I heard about that. It was a completely new idea. And it was only many years later that this idea, this kind of seed that this guy had sown in my mind, really grew. And it happened that I went checking with my eyes what was happening in one of those places where they kill animals for the industry, for the supermarket.
Right. Okay.
Because I somehow felt the need of understanding what was happening, and I wanted to see it with my eyes. And after I saw that, I couldn't touch any other piece of meat in my life.
Yeah. And I hear in what you shared and what I also know from what you shared with me before is this great love for the earth, for the plants, and Anna shares this also, right? Anna, you have this interest in healing, and you've done the energy healing side of things with the theta healing and the Reiki, but also you're into Bach flowers and herbalism, right? I wonder, was this something that both of you developed more as a result of being together in relationship, or how did you experience this whole part of what it is you're doing now?
I can say that nowadays the love for Mother Nature is definitely something that we share. I guess individually we both had this call, but it definitely became stronger from our connection. I think it started becoming really, really strong when we traveled to South America. So we had been around Southeast Asia, living in different places. Before I met David, I was in Timor for 4 years, and then together we were in Malaysia and in Thailand. And we felt, I felt like I was very connected to the kind of spirituality that the Southeast Asia allows us to explore and cultivate, which I usually describe as very much connected to the higher realm, so to the above. But I felt like I needed to ground this energy too. So I felt like I also needed to connect to the earth. And so together we decided to go traveling in South America, because it seemed to us like it was the best place to cultivate this passion, this pull that we felt towards the earth. And so that led us to Brazil. In Brazil, we met some very beautiful people that basically sent us to Peru, to other friends. And in Peru, we ended up getting in contact with this person who needed some volunteers to work with this family. So we got in a bus, did maybe like 22 hours journey on a bus to get to this little place in the middle of nowhere, to meet this person, to help, to stay working a bit with this person. And we had dinner together, and we realized that it was not going to work because we didn't feel comfortable in that environment. So we didn't have a place to stay. We didn't know what to do. We just found a hostel. We stayed for a night in this hostel, and eventually the day after we met this beautiful Italian woman, and Davide offered to cook for her, because Davide shows his love with his food. So he offered to cook, and we had dinner together, and she started talking to us about this beautiful shaman that she knew, a woman shaman. And we felt really curious, and we decided to meet her. And when we met her, we knew that we had to work more with her. And so from this relationship came the opportunity to do a dieta, which is a dieta is a kind of retreat that they do in the Amazonian forest, that is basically an isolation retreat, and you're in the middle of the forest for a week alone, eating little and also dieting with master plants. And I think that was really the moment of big shift for us. Of course, we did our processes individually, so we didn't know what the other was going through, but eventually later we found out. And this, I think, was a really big shift. And it's when we both understood that we wanted to do something that was really very much connected to the earth. And it brought up stronger and stronger this passion towards nature. And we both followed our passion in different ways. David studied permaculture, and I studied herbalism. And nowadays, our connection to Mother Earth is very strong, and it's definitely a big part of my work, my work with healing, and also a big part of our project. And it really is very strong in us.
This is very beautiful, and I love how your individual passions and your passions together in partnership entwine so perfectly in such harmony. Do you ever find yourselves challenged? in relationship or in the pursuit of what you feel close to your heart?
Well, relationships are challenging. No matter how much love there is between two people, it's always challenging. It's a daily compromise between yourself and the other person, and it's a constant finding the midterms between what is right for you and what's right for the other person. I think what really works for us and what really works, it's honesty and total honesty and constant communication. Well, it was a crazy synchronicity, the fact that me and Anna met and are together. But the way we navigated through life together was very special, because it was through deep and very strong inner discovery, self-discovery. We went through a lot of strong processes through our years of traveling, a lot of crazy adventures, and it was not given that we would have came up together at the end of the path that we were taking. Many times, like in the case of the Dieta, for example, we were aware that it could have led us to separate ways. The shaman we were working with had told us that it could have happened, because it was an 8-day isolation retreat. So you by yourself, and you really don't know what that is gonna awaken, or what are you gonna heal, and what you want to achieve once you are out of there. So for us, it's we remind ourselves every day that it's a miracle that we are together, and we are so blessed to be in such a loving relationship between each other.
Yeah, so beautiful, so powerful. Anna, do you have anything to add to this?
Yes, I wanted to say that for me there were and there are two really key elements that I think make our relationship really strong and really special. The first one is that we are both committed to helping and supporting each other grow. So this means that if Davide feels the call to do a strong process or a retreat, for example, that requires isolation, for example, he has all my support, and I will take care of the practicalities of taking care of the household, let's say like that. And he knows that he's going to be supported in that. And I feel the same way when I have to follow my inner calls. So this strong commitment to help each other grow and to support each other's individual path is one of the things that makes our relationship so strong and that really help us grow together. And the other thing that I think has been really important is that from the beginning of our relationship, when we still didn't quite know if we wanted to be in a relationship or not, I told Davide, look, I don't want to do. I'm kind of tired of relationships that start very with a lot of passion, and then you just with time you realize that the other person is not really what it showed in the beginning. So I don't want to do this. I'm going to be myself. I'm going to be who I am without trying to make myself look softer or nicer, without hiding my darker sides, without being careful about what I say, what I do, because I'm trying to make you like me. I'm just going to be who I am, and I'm going to tell you what I feel, and I'm going to show my true colors. And he agreed to this, and actually shared this feeling. So from the very beginning, we were committed to really being ourselves. So if there was something I didn't like, I would say. And this, I feel, was really, really determinant in the fact that in the path of our relationship towards really knowing who the other person is. Like, I feel that around Davide, I am who I am, and I'm 100% accepted and held. And so I feel free because, yeah, I feel free because I can really be myself. So I find that this is really important, and it's been very determinant in our relationship.
Beautiful. This authenticity that you describe and the freedom that comes with it. It's not such an easy choice, I'm sure. So you went through this deep process, those the isolation retreat that each of you did individually, and then you came out of that wanting to do something, connecting with the earth, and that was something that you both shared. Tell me more about how this vision came through for the two of you, and how did you end up where you are now? How did you choose the place?
So there are two very different questions.
Okay.
I'll start with how this vision came about.
Yeah.
So yes, we were in Peru doing this Dieta, separated. And in my process, I realized that I wanted to create a healing oasis where people could go to retreat, to reconnect, to recharge, and to learn how to take better care of themselves. And that this space would be in the middle of the nature, so that people could be nurtured by this immersion in nature. And I didn't, and so I just knew that I had to come back to Europe, because it just felt like it was important to be in Europe, closer to my family. And I didn't know what Davide was thinking on his side. So when I met him after these 8 days of isolation, and I told him that I had made this process, I couldn't believe. I was so surprised, because he had made a similar process, and he had realized that he also wanted to come back to Europe, and he also wanted to start a project that was connected to healing and connected to the earth. Maybe you can say more about that?
Yes, I really felt that the time of traveling was over, and I felt I needed to put roots somewhere. I felt I wanted to see trees grow and prepare a space for other people to come and feel better in that space that we have created. So it was still a very, very embryonal idea, but the feeling was there. The need of creating something like that was very clear. For me as well, it was crazy, because I had no idea what Bindu had gone through, and I was scared to tell her that, because we had other plans. We wanted to go to Ecuador, and then to Colombia, and then to Mexico, and we had made so many plans. But yeah, when we met, we actually had reached the same idea through different processes, and that made us so happy, and also gave us so much strength and determination to do so, because we were sure 100% that was exactly what we wanted from life. And so next thing, after a couple of weeks, we got on the first plane that was affordable for us back to Lisbon. We arrived in Portugal. We said hello to Anna's family, and we bought a camper van. We thought the best idea was to get a camper van and find out where this piece of earth would be, because we had no idea. We are both from city, so there was neither my place or her place would have been a good place to be. So we wanted to find the best place for us.
So how did you find it? What was the process that you went through subsequently? Sounds like the adventure continued.
The journey continued indeed.
Yeah.
In our camper van, we traveled quite a bit around Europe, but always following the warmer places.
Okay.
Eventually, we ended up falling in love with this beautiful place in the mountains in Italy, and we tried to stay there for a little bit. And at some point, we realized that the nature was very beautiful in that area, so we wanted to be around that area. Maybe not exactly where we were living, because we felt a bit alone. We felt a bit the lack of a supporting community around. But basically, we were looking for land in the central part of Italy. And then we came to Portugal on holiday to see my family. And as we were in Porto visiting my family, I got in touch with a friend of mine that was selling her house in this region where we now live. And she needed some help liaising with the real estate agency. So we decided to come down to this area to help, to give her a hand. And in doing that, we actually ended up realizing that the prices were affordable for us and that there were interesting properties in the market. And then there's this super hot day. I think it was a day of August, and it was one of the hottest days in the last century in Portugal. It was almost 50 degrees, and we were in our camper van without air conditioning. We didn't know what to do. We had our dog with us. She was so hot, and we are going on down the road on this village close to the sea, and we see a real estate agency that is full of glass, closed windows, and you can see that there's air conditioning inside. And it just felt like an oasis for us. So we entered, and because we had been helping our friend, we kind of had a speech prepared. So we talked to a man who ended up talking to us about this property, and he was very efficient, because he booked straight away a visit and everything, and he brought us here. And as soon as we arrived to this place, we just fell in love. We just knew that this was the place we had been looking for.
Amazing. Beautiful synchronicity, and that was so funny. I mean, the hot weather and the oasis with the aircon. And before you knew it, you'd found the place. How amazing. How long ago was this?
Well, this was August 2018. But at that point, we kind of got confused, kind of in a crisis, because our life was in Italy. We had been living in Italy for the past 2 years, eventually. We were renting a house. We had our life there. Everything was over there, and we were looking for land over there. So finding this land so casually here in Portugal, like, was not expected, and it took us, I think, 3 months to take the decision. We went back to Italy because we had all our life there, and for 3 months we meditated on the possibility of coming here and buy this piece of land. Of course, with the agent, the real estate agent that was pressuring us, because you never know if someone comes and get the land instead of you, and blah blah blah. And so, but we were also like, okay, if that is meant to be, it's meant to be. No one is gonna buy it instead of us. And
Yes.
so after 3 months and also a bit of research, because we didn't know much about this area that we were thinking, we decided, yes, let's give it a shot. There was also this Muji, this teacher, this spiritual guide that had recently moved around here. He now actually has his ashram 20 minutes from our house. And we thought, well, if Muji is there, there must be a lot of nice people around. And honestly, nature was so beautiful, and the land was so, the energy of this place was so clean and refreshing, and that, yeah, we just took this leap of faith and we decided to buy the land. It was December of last year, so we it's been a year that we are here now.
It sounds like you found your own piece of paradise there. So tell us, how have you developed this land now, and what is it you have started to offer?
So the house where we live was already here. The beautiful house, quite big, and it only needed minor works. So we focused a lot on decorating it and getting ready for hosting some people. So we organized a nice dorm where we can host already 7 to 8 people, and a private room as well. So being a permaculturist, I designed, with the help of my teacher, I designed a way to regenerate the land. It's a lot of land, it's 10 hectares, and some of the hectares are very, very in a poor state, in a very poor state, because they were heavily grazed by animals before we arrived. So there is not much growing apart from very big oak trees, which is these oaks where they get the cork here in Portugal. And so we designed a plan to transform all these areas in new forests, and we started working on the gardens and the vegetable gardens and the orchard, and eventually this winter is gonna come a lake. We're gonna dig a lake to retain more water, and we also made compost toilets, dry toilets for the camping area that we organized. Has been a lot of work, and has been very exciting to see this place blooming with new ideas, and lots of people coming over to help and staying with us, and putting also new ideas and new work, and has been great. And well, we're going in a direction of self-sustainability. right? That is the ultimate goal for us. We are already independent with the water, self-sufficient with the water, and will be possibly soon with electricity. And we're also thinking of expanding our structures in order to be able to host more people, because we would very much love to organize or host retreats for that are aligned with our way of seeing life and our spiritual life.
So you're welcoming people to come for private retreats and also small groups at the moment. Is that right?
Yes. So this spring we will start organizing some small workshops and some small events. Eventually even very small retreats for groups, but very small groups, because for now we don't have much capacity. Eventually this will change in the future and there will be more things happening. But what we really, really love doing, and how the energy is flowing for us and what is happening now, is that we are open for people who want to come, even by themselves or in small groups, to just retreat and have really an individually tailored experience. So people that may be looking for finding their purpose in life or overcoming a difficult situation, working on their inner growth, we offer these kind of private retreats. They can come, they can share our lifestyle, our knowledge, our wisdom. They can work with us through the different kinds of therapies that we offer here, like Theta healing and Reiki and the Bach flowers we already spoke. Many different possibilities, and we can guide them and hold space for people to go through their process.
Could you tell us a bit more about your work with women? I see here on your website you mention deconditioning for women and women's circles.
Yes, the work with the sacred feminine is very, very special to me. A very good sister of mine that I met in Brazil, a Colombian sister, introduced me to the work of Miranda Gray and the archetypes of the female energy during the menstrual cycle. And when I started observing in myself these different energies, I got so impressed, and I was so touched that I just felt that I had to start sharing this with other women, and I had to pass this message. And so I started organizing little women's circles to just spread this message. And eventually things started growing. Women started coming to me looking to work more on themselves and clearing limiting beliefs that have been passed to us by the patriarchal system. So I started working more and more with that. And nowadays I guide women in circles that really are aimed at clearing these limiting beliefs and help women reaffirm their personal power and their feminine essence, and the power that is inside this essence when we are really able to learn how to harness our feminine energy. Yeah,
That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And so somebody could come and receive some healing sessions, some coaching, and also, of course, have some wonderful food prepared by Davide expertly, who's also teaching about sustainability, right? Did I see something about that in foraging? What is that about?
Well, foraging is the art of picking wild herbs.
Mm-hmm.
So going out there and being able to recognize all the herbs, the wild herbs that are edible. Bindu is an expert in that, and I am an expert in cooking them. So it's
fantastic combination. So potentially one could learn a lot. So where can people find out more about you, and how can people get in touch?
we do have a website, which is casanacura.com, where people would find all the information they need, and there is a contact page where they can send us email and getting in touch with us, or through the social media, let's say Facebook, Instagram, and also all linked through the website. It's all Casa Nacura, so it's pretty easy to access. We do have a mailing list, which is a more direct way to stay in contact with us. People can subscribe through the website once again, and we'll send an update every few months in case there is an event coming, or there is big news, an update for the land or for our family life, or it's the best way to stay in touch with us.
It feels like family, doesn't it? It has the quality to it, the work that you do and the retreats that you offer.
It is the idea. The idea is that to offer a family-like experience, reconnecting to oneself through feel really loved and part of a family. It's also very important for us to give this feeling to people because we traveling a lot. We have been a lot by ourselves, away from our families, and those times where we found like-minded people that helped us growing, we felt loved, and that helped us a lot through difficult times. So we really know that is important, and we want to share this with everybody.
Wonderful. And I'd like to thank you very much for offering a special offer for our listeners to come to you, spend 5 nights, and pay for 4. So that's a wonderful offer. Thank you. And also for the prize draw, there's a free online coaching session with Anna. Anna, would you tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. If anyone is feeling a bit lost, needing a bit of direction, finding direction, healing, navigating through some difficult situations, I'm available for online sessions, and in this particular case it's free. I can help navigating through these emotions. I can help understanding how to find the right direction, provide a good listening ear, and give some insight and some input that might help unblock the situation, and suggest ways and practices that can really help overcoming difficulties or finding the true purpose. It's something that comes very naturally to me. People are usually come to me to talk and have big insights. So
Wonderful.
yeah, I hope that whoever gets the prize gets to enjoy it.
Fantastic. And before we go, do you have a final message for our listeners?
We do have a final message, and we wanted to say to anyone who may be listening and again going through a life crisis or looking for change, trying to find their purpose, we wanted to say it is possible, it really is possible to live a life that feels whole, that feels joyful, that feels fulfilled. For us, the trick was to be available to the present moment, because that's how we got to realize that there were amazing opportunities that helped us finding our true purpose. So really having that availability to the present moment. Then getting to know oneself is so important. And in our path, the easiest way for us was to really get out of our comfort zone. And last but not least, establishing soulful connections with people that support our growth and that inspire us to be the best version of who we are.
Yeah, I mean, this is how we did it. This is how we keep doing it in our life, and I promise everybody can do it. And just to say, if someone doesn't know where to start, we are here to help, to provide guidance and support. We can do that through online sessions or coaching, but better if you come here and stay with us. We can tailor an individual experience. At Casa Nacura, you can stay as many nights as you think it's right, and we'll see it from there. Yeah, just get in contact with us. You have all our contacts, our website. So we would love to hear from all of you. And thank you, Elena.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. This is what it's all about, isn't it? The soul connection. And I'm so delighted that you guys are living it. Very much what this show is about. So thanks once again for joining me. Wish you much success with Casa Nacura and all your endeavors. And I hope to connect with you again soon and hear about all the developments.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, Elena. It's been really beautiful to be here with you today.
Yeah, real pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Ciao.
That was Ana Bindu and Davide of Casa Nacura in Portugal. I wonder, what adventures have you been on? Have you found a loving partner with whom to co-create and live your dream? Or are you just getting ready to explore? Write and share with us. Send your email to soulconnections@elenaangel.com. And of course, send an email to soulconnections@elenaangel.com if you'd like to take part in the prize draw and claim one of our many free gifts. Thank you so much for listening. Tune in again next week for more soulful conversations and explorations in consciousness. Goodbye for now. This is Elena Angel and Soul Connections.
Thanks for tuning in to tonight's broadcast. We hope you enjoyed the show and look forward to you being with us for the next edition of Soul Connections, where you can always find soulful topics and inspiring guests. To find out more about Elena, her work, and how to get in touch, just go to www.elenaangel.com. From all of us to all of you, blessings from Soul Connections.